Hello everyone, welcome to Magic Theory 101. My name is Rico Wieland and I'll be your tutor for this series. Now, you might be someone who's been performing magic for a while, or you just got into magic. And you're wondering, but dude, why do I even need magic theory? I'm performing magic for a while, people are enjoying it, they're loving it, they're freaking out. Why do I need to know how it works, And if that's your thought, then, well, maybe that's right. Maybe you don't need this yet. Maybe this will be something for the future. But if you do want to understand it, I want to reframe magic just a bit. Magic is a language, especially the language of the impossible. We're trying to communicate things that cannot be done and that have no explanation to an audience. In order to communicate those things, we need to A, understand what we're doing, B, understand what we're communicating, and preferably C, understand how to communicate those things most effectively. And I hope precisely that that's what this series will help you with, to understand magic just a bit better, to more clearly communicate it, and get better reactions. Because practically speaking, if you understand magic theory really well, you're going to improve the reactions you're going to get, but you're also going to gain more freedom. Maybe you want to express a certain type of magic, but what you're doing can only get you to magic B, not to magic A. Now with magic theory, if we understand the trick properly, we can deconstruct it in such a way and apply strategies which gets us to experience A as opposed to experience B, making magic into an art as opposed to a craft. In order to get you there, there's many different ways of magic theory, many different kinds. We have very practical magic theory that just tells us how to practice more efficiently. We have philosophical magical theory, which talks about the meaning of magic and what it should entail and what it should do. And then we also have presentational magical theory on how to script, how to have better theater craft, but specifically for magic. And then we have what I believe is the most fundamental type of magic theory, which talks about the construction and the anatomy of magic. Now this is sort of an overarching magic theory, the construction and anatomy part, because it looks specifically on what magic actually is on a fundamental level, and if we would change certain aspects of it, how that would change the outcome. So how the audience might perceive it different, or how it could make the secret stronger or worse, essentially. Now, you might be wondering and going like, yeah man, but like in music you don't necessarily need musical theory to make beautiful music. And to some level, that's true. You don't necessarily need good magical theory in order to make good magic. There were magicians like Fred Capps, for example, who had a very good intuitive sense on which decisions to make. Now, I'm not saying that Fred Capps didn't know anything about magical theory. I think the complete opposite. But what I'm saying is that he was intuitively a very good magician who just felt that he should be moving into this direction as opposed to this direction. The other way in which I think magic is a bit different from music is that magic is more based in the intellect in some way. We're constantly trying to beat the audience's intellect so that they have nowhere left but to go to their emotion, meaning that the emotion of magic will be real if the intellect has nowhere to run. There are many magicians who have talked about this, but by understanding magic theory and by magic just better, it's easier for us to move to that space. It's easier to identify weaknesses in the trick, but also in our presentation and our framing, which with some simple changes might just elevate our magic from being okay to being a miracle. Now in this series, we're going to be looking primarily at magic theory, which focuses on the fundamentals, which looks at what is magic, what's the overarching view, and how does the equation change if we change things. This allows us to have a better communication of magic, but it also allows us to know when to slow down, to know when to not apply misdirection and to know when to apply misdirection, to know maybe when to go back in certain settings such as theater magic or restaurant magic if people get distracted when someone walks in. We'll go over all of those things, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the first video on the initial and the final situation. See you then.